stay on my track. Whatever you do, don't let up on this bridge. I tell you what, you fall into one of these ponds, you're history. As hunters, we're misunderstood as people that dislike animals. I love animals, and I spend most of my time outdoors with them. I grew up on a ranch, and the life that we lived was simple. It's a life that most people aren't lucky enough to enjoy. Hunting's in my DNA. My ancestors hunted to survive, and what they passed on to me is imperative that I pass along to my family. The harvest of an animal does so much for us as humans. It creates a food source for us while strengthening the population. It is my responsibility to manage nature and help create a better ecosystem. That's just my life as a hunter. Saskatchewan, Canada is a place you dream about hunting whitetails, but for me, I've had some pretty crazy things happen up there, and it's kind of my nemesis when it comes to bow hunting. You know, to get back to where these big deer are, there's a lot of treacherous terrain, and these guys know it, but you know, you're out here and you're fighting northern Canada, and there's mud bogs, there's beaver ponds, there's ice. Canada's not for the timid, it's not for the beginner. Canada's definitely a tough hunt with a bow. You climb 30 foot up in the tree every day, it's below zero, and you sit there for 12 hours. But the payoff, if you're a whitetail hunter, is worth it. It's the breadbasket of Canada. There's all this farmland, big grain silos, it's just beautiful. And the further north you get, the more wildlife you start to see. Moose, coyotes, bald eagles, and big whitetail. Get back up here to Camp Whitetail, and what a cool place. This guy's a Canadian outfitter. He takes lots of whitetail hunters, takes lots of bear hunters, has got a great setup. Feeds you really good, has a nice lodge, and it's time to get settled and get ready to go hunt tomorrow.
Blue Collar Adventures is brought to you by Twisted Timber Tree Stands, QU Ultralight Hunting, Nature Blinds, the most realistic hunting blinds on the planet, Spot Hog, the world's toughest archery products.
All right, boys, right here is where the big ones live. Y'all need to really concentrate right here, okay? All right. There goes your line, there goes your line. Set the hook. Oh, get the net. Get the net.
Oh, this net's way too small for this taco.
Now that whoa, is a super taco.
It's crunchy-licious, real fresh, real food, real good. Taco Casa.
Blue Collar Adventures is brought to you by Rigid Industries LED Lighting, Newmont Mining Corporation, demonstrating leadership and safety, stewardship of the environment, and social responsibility. Ice Hole Coolers, when your ice is on the line.
It is cold. It's colder than it's ever been up here for me. It's below zero. You got 15 miles to go in the morning on a Ranger. That's the ride of your life. Last season on the same trail, I flipped my four-wheeler, lost my bow, knocked my sight off, and I missed one of the biggest deer I've ever seen. And all that stuff goes through your mind when you get there and you're ready, you prepared more. I have better clothes this year. I've worked on my bow a lot this year. I turned it down for the cold weather. I think I'm ready. But there's always a challenge when it comes to Canada. The road is really soggy, really wet, icy ruts. It's treacherous conditions. Keith tells me about a bridge that they've made that's logs laid across the big beaver pond wash that We can get across, he said, but do not let up. If you stay in my tracks, don't stop. I see this bridge coming, and I get to the edge, and I start across, and I think I hear go, so I punch it, and I was really hearing whoa. Next thing I know, we're on our side in the water. My camera girl's in the beaver pond. My gear's floating in the top of the pond, and our morning has started really bad. When Keith went across on his wheeler, the log split off, and I didn't see it till it was too late. My tire fell in the crevice, rolled us over. This Ranger's pretty stable. It stayed on its side. Thank God it didn't go over on its top. Most of our gear hung in the side, got a little bit wet, but my camera girl's soaking wet. And now we got to figure out how we're going to get it out of the drink. Day one, we're in the ditch. We're winching my four-wheeler out. My bow is fell in the water. My camera gear is wet. My camera girl's wet. And we're not even to the stand yet. And this is what I'm talking about. It's a challenge. Mother Nature in Canada is definitely a challenge. This deer's been there every day at noon. It's 10 o'clock in the morning, and he's really wants us to get out there and try and get this buck. He's been seeing them, and you never know when these big Canadian whitetail find a hot doe and they leave the country. We overcome the wreck, we get to the tree, and I look up and I forgot how high the hanging tree stands in Canada. It's 30 foot up. I got a sore shoulder, I got a banged up ankle. We had quite a ride this morning, but we're determined to get up in this tree and have a chance at this big buck. Got my hunter safety system on, and this year I brought a body heater suit, and that's what got us through the day. I've got a wet camera girl, and if she stays wet in the cold, we're finished. She can't stay out in this. She gets her wet clothes off, she gets in the body heater suit, the day's saved. So I think maybe we can salvage this day. I reach over, I start checking my bow over, no arrows. The arrows fell out in the wreck. They're an hour back, and now I've got to sit in the tree stand with no arrows and hope this deer doesn't come in. Keith goes back. I'm sitting in the tree an hour and a half praying that this deer doesn't come in, because all I have to throw at him is maybe my bow. I don't have any arrows, and I hear the sound of a distant four-wheeler and the relief. Here comes my arrows that fell into the ditch. We get them up in the tree with me. Here we go. The hunt started. The buck hasn't come in. Hopefully we didn't blow it for the day, and pretty soon I see deer starting to come out of the woods. The timber's so thick here that you can just hear them going through the brush. And I start to hear a lot of commotion behind me. And I look over my shoulder, and this big giant buck's making his way to where we're at. I'm kind of staying calm, getting ready. I have a chance to harvest this big buck. The morning might be salvaged.
Are you ready. The new Blue Collar Adventures Online, your home for official blue collar apparel. And our brand new Pro Shop, where we show you the gear we use and why we use it, with a full library of gear reviews and exclusive video content you can only find at Blue Collar Adventures Online. The gear you need with advice you can trust. Begin your next adventure at bluecollaradventures.com.
We're in Saskatchewan, Canada. This isn't a hunt for the timid and the meek. This is the real deal. This is extreme cold weather, long days, but the payoff is good. There's some giant whitetail right here in this woods. Put my pin where I want it, let go of my release, and it sounds perfect. Deer jumps, runs off, and I sit back down, and just the whole morning kind of just came to a head right there. We worked through it. We hopefully overcame everything. I just made a shot on a giant whitetail. It looked good. Review the footage, and it looks really low. It doesn't look good at all. Find my arrow, it's completely clean, and there's a stack of hair, like I took some horse clippers to this deer and shaved his side. Looks like I just gave this deer a haircut. This big buck's run off, my arrow's clean, and the little service I have, I text back and tell them, you know, I took a shot at one, we need to look for this deer. Day one, Canada, rolled a Ranger, hurt my ankle, missed a deer. So here it goes again. The curse of Canada is upon me. And we head back to camp, get a good night's sleep, great meal. One thing about Camp Whitetail, they always take good care of you. And we decided to go back out and look for this deer. We spend all morning trying to find a drop of blood. The arrow's completely squeaky clean. We determined this deer got away clean. He lost some hair. A big pile of hair he's missing. He might be a little chilly in that spot, but I'm gonna spend the rest of the week in this tree stand trying to find this buck. And that's what I owe it to this deer. I took a chance at him, and we head back to camp. I wanna make sure all my equipment's right. We get up in the loft and I start shooting the target. I hit the bottom of the target. And I'm shooting about 6 inches low. I start adjusting my sight. You know, I wouldn't think that the sight got messed up. It was in a hard case, but you never know. It came out of the four-wheeler, it hit on the ground, and it was a perfect storm. Something went wrong with my sight. We get it dialed in, I feel comfortable. It's time to head back to the tree stand. East boy, who they call Skinny, he's gonna go out and hunt. So I send the guide with one of the cameras, and they've got a nice buck spotted, a good mature buck that needs to go, and Skinny goes out on his hunt, and it's fun. I enjoy seeing kids get out and enjoy it. I like the excitement Keith had for his boy to get to hunt on camera, They've got something to remember this hunt by.
Got him, buddy. He went right down. Reload.
I dropped him.
Yeah. Right in the shoulder?
I think so. I hope so.
Okay, let's go take a look at him.
Let's go.
He's got a couple different points, eh?
Look at this.
Yeah, that's cool.
I'm up here in northern Saskatchewan hunting whitetail in Camp Whitetail on November 2nd. I got this deer at 12:30, around that time. It's got a few little kickers on the brow tine and main beam. Couldn't be happier. I shot it right in the neck. It only took one bullet. Had to wait a few hours and stuff, so yeah.
The Canadian definitely outdid the Texan. Everything goes smooth, except one thing. He clinks a shell, doesn't have his gun loaded, but the deer stays and he makes a great shot, puts him down. Beautiful buck, good shot.
This segment is brought to you by Vortex Optics, the force of optics. Taco Casa, real fresh, real food, real good. Tough Country, quality, custom, American made.
This is where you really check yourself. Do I really love to hunt? It's -8 degrees. We've got to go 15 miles on a Polaris Ranger, and just the ride itself scares me. It's a rough ride. We go deep into the woods, and I've got a 12-hour sit in a tree stand 30 foot off the ground. Yeah, I love it. Each day I'm feeling the wreck. My shoulder hurts. I can barely walk. I'm limping around, but I'm determined to get up in this tree stand and hunt this big deer. And you know, we're out here every day. It's the beautiful wilderness of Canada. We're seeing lots of beautiful whitetail. We're seeing different types of wildlife on the ride in, and it's just big forest, big country, and you're out here in the wild. And that's why I do it. I love it. I love to get out here. This last day, we got some great guides up here. These guys get out here and they help us. And I can barely walk and I can't get my gear up into the stand. We forgot our rope to get everything up in the stand, and our guide for the day, Daryl, starts climbing up the tree, and he's got about $5,000 in camera equipment in the backpack, and here it comes. Look on my face is sheer terror.
We got our safety systems on, but it's a hard morning. We're late, trying to find a big deer. This is whitetail hunting right here, northern Saskatchewan. Big deer, but it's challenging for sure.
Cold days, long days, it's the last day. We haven't seen this buck, we haven't seen him on the camera. He's gone, he's moved out of this country. But today might be the day. I can't change locations now. I've got to give him, every day that I'm here, I'm gonna go back and see if I can't get another shot at this deer. And it's part of it.
Been here 5 days straight, 30 feet in the air. It was 17 below yesterday. Trying to get another shot at that big buck. I had a chance at him, but I made a mistake and he got away. But he was barely digged. We were hoping he'd show back up, but these big bucks are smart.
What a week to remember, what an adventure. That's what we live for, that's what I do it for. Yeah, I'd like to have a successful harvest, don't we all as hunters, but the fact that I get to go up here, experience Canada, and survive it. It was a great accomplishment to get through the week, not to give up, and I'll be back.